good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for giving us your time and attention today for this monthly marketing webinar. We're having a little bit of audio difficulty, and we are not able to figure out what that is, so hopefully it will resolve itself. Those of you who use GoToMeeting know that sometimes weird things happen, so today is one of those. Today's topic is really about using the website to work as a lead generator, and there's lots of things to talk about in terms of traffic flow and conversions. First, let me remind you that this session is being recorded, and if you are interested in seeing this or in having some of your staff review, then you can go to our website, corecubed.com, events, and we do have all of our past webinars recorded, and today's will be no exception. I do have everyone on mute mode, which allows us to present the webinar without having the background noise of you all coming and going. So with no further ado, I will move on to this. I'm going to moderate today. I am Marilee Orsini, and I am fortunate enough to have some experts with me today who know far more than I do about this topic. So I am I've been in the home care industry forever, since before the guys who are with me on the call were born even. So I certainly do know the industry, and the expertise that we lend to the industry is in content and some other industry-specific information and knowledge, and we are using experts to help us to present the very best services we can to our clients. And one of those experts who works with CoreCubed is Beth Ann Jackson, and she is a SEO marketing specialist. She is certified in SEO inbound marketing, and actually has a HubSpot certification. So she's been working in this lead generation field for a while, and she works with us as a search engine marketing consultant, and also works with us on SEO for our clients. We have two people here today from Mightily, or Extreme Marketing. One is Joshua Stone. Welcome, Joshua. Joshua's the Director of Digital Marketing for Mightily, and he basically, this is what he does. So interpreting online data to generate strategically powerful results is what his core job is there at Mightily and Extreme, and we're very happy to have him here with us today. And the other person from Mightily with us is Turk Canale, and Turk is the Senior Art Director, but Turk has an unusual background in that not only does he work with branding and design, but he also has a rich experience of working with startup companies. So he's really got a business perspective that he brings to the website design and to the marketing, and he has lots of gifts: a designer, a writer, and an art director. So welcome both of you all to our CoreCubed webinar today. Our objectives and really what we're going to talk about is discussing lead generation strategies, and we'll talk about some strong call to actions, and then landing pages, and then how to capture a lead, and then how do you measure that you're being successful. So lots of things to talk about today. We're really going to do more of a Q&A. So first we're really going to talk about lead generation, and I just would like definitions from you guys first. And Beth, I'll start with you. What is it? How do you define a lead?
Sure. Well, I think defining a lead will be based mostly on what you're trying to achieve out of your website. Are you measuring your leads by how many people maybe contact you for more information? Or are you defining the lead maybe as when someone downloads a form and they're trying to learn more about you? I like how you have written here, a lead is a potential buyer of your service. I completely agree with that, where you do want to have a lead where they're in the process of investigating your company or your business, and they are gearing towards maybe contacting you or getting you involved in some point within the buying process.
Joshua, do you have a different take on what a lead is?
No, that's what I mean. An unqualified lead is a useless lead, but as long as it's qualified, I would consider it a lead.
Can you talk a little bit about the difference between a qualified and an unqualified lead?
Well, so we could we could run a contest that, anyone that signs this form up will, get a chance to win an iPad. We'll get thousands of people to do it, but the number of people that actually matter to our business is going to be very low. But if we generate a piece of content about something relative to the business, about elder care or whatever it may be, and then ask someone to inquire about more information, that is a much more qualified lead. So one of those is worth 1,000 iPad signups.
Good.
True, and that's kind of what you have to determine when you're figuring out the starting point. Who is your target audience? What will a lead be? What is a qualified and unqualified lead? And that's something that you definitely have to consider throughout your entire website design and the process you're taking people through to these landing pages.
Tark, do you have something to input on, talking first at the very beginning point, which is what is a lead? Who is it that you want to actually take action?
Yeah, I think both of you all spoke about it in a very, very matter-of-fact way. And I think to add to Josh's point, that content really is the biggest driver. So not to focus on kind of like the tactics of getting people's information, but again, more so creating a site, creating marketing pieces, creating social content that draws people to your brand and draws people to your business in a very organic way, because it's not so much just about just capturing a lead's email, but actually being able to generate real interest in your business, because that's where a relationship can start, for the long term.
You mentioned generating interest, and can you talk a little bit about how do you generate that interest?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways in terms of digital media. So whether it's utilizing social media and connecting with potential customers or clients, having a blog and becoming a thought leader in your industry. So if there's people in the company who have very valuable insights that other businesses in your industry or sister businesses, or say for example you're in the medical field and there's insights that you can share that maybe a manufacturer who makes products for the medical industry can gain from. That's a way to really build buzz around your business and build interest. Kind of going back to the interest in leads, build interest to you as a thought leader through blogging and through content, and all of those things ultimately boost your SEO and your site visits as well.
Joshua and Beth, you both are digital marketing specialists, really. I've sort of threw in SEO and PPC, pay-per-click ads at the bottom of this, because I know that a lot of people are interested in using SEO and pay-per-click in terms of generating interest. Joshua, can you talk a little bit about SEO and pay-per-click and how those are used to generate interest?
Yeah, well, the search is not, the interest is already there when people are searching. So, whether you're in elder care or medical supplies, whatever it may be, the interest is already there in your product. So when people are searching for those things, what we try to do is make sure that Google understands that you are an industry leader, you are an expert in that area. And we do that with website design, with content, with social media. So for search, it's easy in a sense of people have that interest already in that product. So what our goal is here is to just expose your brand to as many people as possible in those search results. The paid portion of it is something that I like simply because of the amount of data that's available. So we can pay for those locations on the search results page. And by doing that, we're able to differentiate our audiences. So if we know a certain type of individual is more likely to be a customer versus another certain type of individual, we can allocate budgets based on those different samples. So we're not wasting money on people that are low probability of being a customer, and we're making sure our budget's focused on people that are high probability of being a customer. And the real benefit there is just being able to track that user data figure out who bought what and why, and then using those numbers and those analytics to optimize your campaign. So search is more of a long-term strategy in terms of search engine optimization, and PPC is something that we can implement immediately and learn a lot about our customer base from.
Mm-hmm. Beth, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I like how you do mention the stats and the analytics that we do get from paid marketing. And that is true. A lot of times when websites first go online, they're interested in maybe starting a pay-per-click campaign. So this way you can gain some valuable insights and data. You can pay to be at the top of the listing for your keyword phrase, and you can figure out, okay, maybe what other keyword phrases users may be searching and other keywords that would just be useful for a search campaign or an inbound marketing campaign. Definitely when you want to generate interest and you want to generate leads to your site, paid marketing is something that is always considered. In addition to, of course, inbound marketing where you want to attract users to you instead of paying for each lead or each visit through paid.
Turk, I want you to respond to something. I talked with someone this morning who was interested in lead generation, and however, he had a website, an older website that was designed in Dreamweaver, and his goal was to be ranked #1 in search engines. Said he wanted to be #1 at the top of the page in searches. And I said, well, the first thing you're going to have to do is redesign your website. And he said, well, I'm going to do that. Now, I just would like you to respond to that. Is it possible for someone who doesn't understand marketing or design to design a website that actually could create interest and hit all of these things, the design, the message, understanding, the inbound marketing, and the SEO for that website?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So when we hear the word design, a lot of times most people's first thought is they go to like how something looks, right? So they go to the colors and the pictures and maybe some of the layout, and that is definitely true of how we think of design as the majority of design, but web design is a lot different because of two things. So Google also basically kind of ranks your site based on the back end and the site structure, which is a part of kind of like, if you think of web designers as somewhat of like architects, which in reality really is like our programmers and developers that are the true like architects of the site. But how the back end is developed is also critical to your Google rankings, as well as what we call front-end design and user experience. So if a site, say for example, someone does a search and goes to Google and comes across your site, but they don't find any links within the site to click on, and they X out. The question I would ask is, like, is that something that Google would, lower your ranking of? Because yes, they may have gone to your site, but if they didn't have a rich experience there, then that definitely plays a part in the rankings as well. So you want to put your website in the hands of not just someone who can use Dreamweaver and put pictures and photos in place, but someone who actually understands that a website is like a multi-functioning thing. You got to really have you got to really know what you're doing on the front end as well as the back end, and then on top of that, the SEO. And those three things are all what we do obviously in-house. And then the fourth piece of that is like the brand strategy and the messaging. So aside from the SEO, from a strategic like Google search standpoint, but just the messaging that resonates with customers as well. So I would definitely recommend anyone wanting to build their own site to reconsider because of the immense value. And if their goal is to be in the top of Google search rankings, then they would have to be very lucky that A, they have an extraordinarily small industry and a really, really creative name. They may be able to be easily found if people know their name already. But if someone's searching just for, like Josh mentioned, elderly care, if you built your own site on like one of these website template sites that doesn't really give you all of the strong back end, then you're going to miss out on a ton of leads.
Good. I wanted to hear that from a professional because that's exactly what I said to the gentleman this morning. So let's move into talking about capturing leads. So somebody's interested in your service. They've come to your website. How do you capture a lead, Joshua?
Well, it's going to vary by industry. So
Well, let's talk about home care, or elder care, or home health, or something more medical.
Well, so for elder care, so something like in-home nursing or in-home care, you're going to need quite a bit of information on that user. You know, how old is the patient? What sort of difficulties are there? Where's the house? So those type of things that you need 5 to 10 pieces of information from a user. I like to use a form with drop downs or pre-set categories for them to click and select. It makes it much easier for them to provide that information by just selecting options as opposed to having to type in a bunch of information. Mm-hmm. Another really good way to capture leads is, and you've probably seen this on a lot of e-commerce sites, so for medical products and things like that, when people visit your site, allow for a Facebook or a Google login, and that gives you access to their Google information, their Facebook information, what they like, what they share, and by capturing that information, you're essentially capturing the lead data with just one click from the user. So they just click sign in with Google, and we can capture that information and then start to market towards them. So those are 2 ways to gather the information. But I can't really stress enough that the process of gathering that information, it has to be valuable. There has to be a reward for the user other than just getting their name to somebody that they want to buy something from. So you'll see a lot of people using white papers, using downloadable ebooks, using infographics, using things to deliver to the user in exchange for this information. So one example would be how do bathroom accessories make someone's life easier that's had a hip replacement. And you could write a paper on that, a few pages, and offer that to people in exchange for their information, because once you have that information, you know that these people obviously have an interest in that field, and they don't feel like they're giving away their information to be sold to. They feel like they're giving information away to get this item. So having that, try for a better word, carrot on the end of the stick, or making it really easy and engaging, are the 2 best ways to grab relevant user information and to be able to market and follow up with them.
Excellent. Beth, do you have something you'd like to add to that?
Yes. Really, when you are focusing on capturing new leads, yes, the end purpose is to sell them in some way, but it's very important to take apart, the whole process, and like he was saying, give them something valuable in return. You can't just act like a salesman and just being flashy online and click here, buy now, buy now. You do need to have some kind of genuine offer that will be beneficial to them. And that does play into you being a thought leader in your industry. You need to give them something they can take and use, something tangible maybe that they can read, or they can, like the white paper example, or something so they can learn more and gain more interest, so that you do build up your authority and trust, and then that will lead them through your sales funnel into becoming more of a qualified lead, and then hopefully that sale at the end process.
Turk, anything to add to 2 excellent comments?
Yeah, I mean, so, and again, to kind of like piggyback on what she was saying, that having your site be a rich experience overall is not only it's going to allow them to not only be a lead, but like eventually become, again, it's about like relationship building as well, and having your site be a place where people can come multiple times. So they may come one time to learn about a service, but maybe they don't actually need that service just yet. Maybe they're in the research. They're researching their options for 3 months ahead. but you want to create that impact with great content and helpful information and a simple-to-use, clean website, so that you're an experience that they remember. So when they're searching later, it may not be, price may not be the first thing they think about. It may be the website experience. Because, oh, I can go back here and get refreshed on the information quickly and easily. So having a site that brings a lot more value than just closing a sale is also really beneficial.
Good. Excellent. I'm going to do just one moment of cross-selling here because CoreCube does offer our Most program, which is content-rich and has a lot of things that are value-added in information that people can then download and use to capture the lead. So I mean, we've done lots of work and have decades of industry experience in doing that. So that's one of the things that does come with our Most program. I want to talk about call to actions now because I've put up here just some simple call to actions, but honestly. That call to action is something, I mean, you all have mentioned white papers. These are just some simple ones, and I thought you might want to just talk a little bit more about other ways to use call to actions or other call to actions that you've seen effective. And it doesn't have to be in the home care industry. I just think this is a crucial part in that sales funnel is getting someone to actually take the action. So, Beth, you want to talk about that first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the call to action is very important, and this is something that's going to help your website convert better overall. If you never ask for more information, or if you never even ask for the sale, so to speak, you're not going to get the response. People may be interested, but if you're not guiding them towards taking action, they may just visit your site, look around, and hop off. The examples you have here, these are some examples that we see currently on everyday websites where people are saying, okay, contact us to learn more. Click here to learn more about this topic. White papers are always an excellent item for people to download because there's little risk involved usually in downloading a white paper. It's something just when they're in the investigation process, they want to learn a little bit more. Other forms of call to action, and it does vary per your industry and per your business, but they may be as simple as, hey, just pick up the phone and call us today, or email us here, or maybe we want to do some type of free home assessment and come in and look and talk about your needs. And this will also flow into your sales process as to what a qualified lead is and what type of lead you are looking for. If you want to have more people contact you on social media or follow you on social media, your call to action will be to engage with us on social media, subscribe to our blog, or leave us a comment here, follow us on Facebook, like our page to learn more. All of these are going to be very useful in literally having visitors take action on your website, which will lead them through the process of, okay, now they're interested in you, you can nurture that lead, you can convert them to a customer, and hopefully have a long relationship with that client.
Joshua, would you like to add anything to call to actions?
No, that pretty much covers it. Here at Mightily, we'll set aside an hour or two and just think of as many call to actions as we possibly can, and write them on Post-its and make a big wall of them just when we're brainstorming new ad copy ideas. So I mean, yeah, it will make a difference in how much you sell. So we always split test those different call to actions. Just to see which ones perform better and what kind of language people use in that industry.
That's a very interesting point, and I think I have this mentioned later, but testing, sort of trial testing to test for results. Turk, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, one thing that, and this is very similar to what Josh was saying, but when I'm writing call to actions, I'm thinking about like having them be more conversational, and again, testing is going to determine which one fits with your specific site visitor or your industry post. So instead of something like buy now, we would hope that you would be able, your business would be able to instead have call to actions maybe to say learn more or read more, or instead of give us a call, something like get in touch or let's chat, right? So these types of things that are a little bit more conversational, a little bit more relationship focused in how they're written, I think can create a really good brand experience if they're converting. And, you know, again, going back to the testing, like if they're converting and testing and showing they're working within your target audience. But that would be my kind of final thought on it.
Good. I think you'll hear testing and measuring a few times today, and that is so crucial. And it's, you know, the home care industry is one that used to rely just on Yellow Page advertising. Perhaps a lot of industries did, but home care specifically. So I think a lot of the home care industry is used to paying one amount of money and getting something, and then it's over with. And one of the things that happens in today's marketing world is that with the web is a dynamic platform, and all of the activities and actions that are being taken are also dynamic, not only because the algorithms change regularly on Google and what they're because they're focusing more and more. They're focusing more and more on relevant content and recency, but there's also the lot of other changes that are happening in the industry. So all of this brings to a landing page. So I think the landing pages are different than just a regular website page. Joshua, do you want to talk about a landing page specifically? I may have too much data up here for landing pages, but I think it's an important point. Josh, did I lose you? Beth, have I lost you?
Nope, I am still here.
Okay.
Basically, with landing pages, each landing page does have a specific purpose. And this is going to tie into specifically your call to action, and this is going to tie into specifically what you're trying to generate as far as leads. So maybe your landing page has a purpose to, okay, we're trying to get users to sign up or register for some type of an event. You're going to write this landing page with copy that is written to inform the reader about the actual event or about the sign-up process. You're going to make it simple. And typically a landing page also, just to note, it usually does not have a top menu bar that can go back to the website. It is a page within your website where users will land on there, typically from a paid campaign or maybe from somewhere else, a link where you are advertising this on. Maybe you're advertising it on Facebook or social media. Users will hit this landing page, and literally it's called a landing page because they land on this page. But they're coming there for a purpose, and the purpose is to convert. You want to use the content in the space on here to take them into the sales funnel. So they don't just become a website visitor, but they're actually generating into some kind of a lead. Whether they're signing up for something, maybe they're inquiring to learn some more information, or maybe your landing page goes right into the sale, where it's sign up today, learn more about us today, and go through the sale process right now. But your landing pages should be very specific. You should basically have this already determined what you would like the customers to take on the page, what action you would like them to have. You also want to actually utilize your landing pages throughout your campaigning online, whether it's on social media or AdWords. So maybe you would have the same landing page duplicated, but have one that goes only to Facebook and one that's only used on AdWords. And this is going to also help you measure the success of the visitors from those sources and from those channels. So basically with your landing page, the main purpose is to capture that lead or to make that sale.
And using landing pages, I mean, there are some, you've mentioned a little bit about this. I think Joshua and Turk, are you back with us? It looked like we lost you guys. I think they're still gone. So, Beth, let's talk more about usages of landing pages. You talked about specifically coming in from some things, but there's all different ways ways you can get people into your site from a variety of areas. Do you want to talk?
Basically, with landing pages, you can utilize them through multiple sources. You can use them through traditional marketing. Maybe you'll have a QR code that's printed in a newspaper, and when they scan it, it goes to a specific landing page from the ad. You can utilize it through social media. Let's say you are running a contest on Facebook and you post a status update that says, hey, click here to enter our contest now. That link would go to your landing page directly. With paid ads, we see landing pages used with paid ads all the time, and this is to measure the success of that landing page and of that paid campaign as well. Basically, you want to just remember to keep the landing page very focused on your offer and on the target audience. You want to make sure that you have geared it to specifically turn them into some form of a conversion. If you do have multiple products or services, I would say take that landing page, and if you're happy with the format and the content, I would actually say duplicate that, revise the content to be geared towards that one service or that one product, and then test that across the board on your different channels, whether it's through social media or through paid marketing as well.
I think one of the issues when you're trying to sell services to a population and for elderly care or for home care is that each specific audience has specific needs. And when Joshua was talking earlier about someone who broke a hip and is looking for resources to either take care of themselves or to purchase equipment that would make it easier, that's all they're interested in. They're not going to be interested in information about dementia or information about Parkinson's disease. So that using landing pages to target specific audiences, so you have an ad out there for one specific thing, that does allow you, when Beth, you mentioned that sales funnel earlier, and it really allows you to take your sales funnel and take that sales funnel and actually drive people directly in. Joshua, I see you've joined us again. Sorry we lost you there for a minute. Do you want to talk at all about, do you have anything to add about using landing pages for niche markets? Well, maybe Josh is with us, but not in voice, so so we will move on here. This is just some specific information about shortening the path, and basically the point here is a landing page is not just a web page. Landing page actually does shorten the pathway so that you're appealing to someone for one specific thing. You're really trying to capture their information for that specific thing, and hopefully you will then get back with them on that. So it really is a shortened pathway, and most times you don't want to have all the other things on your website on that landing page. You really want to capture them for that one thing and then get back to them. If they want to go to other pages in your website, they can certainly do that, but that's the idea. We just lost Josh and Turk again. They must be having, again, GoToMeeting does have occasionally these glitches, and we're just having them today. Beth, do you have anything to add to this?
Yes, and basic.
Sorry, we're back on, just to let you all know. We had some mic issues.
Oh, okay, good.
Excellent. Basically, with landing pages, the main purpose is to get them to convert. Whoever the visitor is, you want them to either subscribe or take action for what you have geared out on the landing page. And I like how you have written there in the slide, if you have a very long path that gets to the landing page, or if there are multiple areas for them to click off and go somewhere else, there is risk that your visitor may not find what they're looking for, or they may not convert quickly. When you have a landing page that goes just to one direct path, it gives them maybe one option or maybe even two options to either go learn more information or to download some information. You're giving them less opportunities to navigate off of the website or to another area. So that's something you have to keep in mind with your landing page. The whole point of it is to convert the visitor into a lead and not confuse them or drive them around or take them to other pages. Gear it specifically towards the service or product and take them down the path so they will subscribe or convert.
Joshua and Turk, do you have anything you would like to add to this?
No, that is right. I mean, you just got to make sure it's not too intrusive, and you're being transparent about what you're trying to achieve, and just make it easy. That's what I mentioned earlier. I really like I really like enabling people to click their options as opposed to having to write them into a form. And it takes a lot more design resources, a lot more programming resources to do it. But I think it definitely pays out over the long run. So again, a short path and ease of use. She nailed it.
And this is really just some more points that that really reinforce that ease of use, because again, you're really trying to get someone to take an action. That's the whole strategy behind this. So, landing page SEO. So, Joshua, you're the digital marketing specialist. You and Beth, do you want to talk about SEO for landing pages?
Yeah, sure. Basically, with landing pages, it is still an interior page on your website, so you do want to make sure you still have the correct on-page SEO elements. Your landing pages can rank within the search engines as well if you allow them to. So generally, you do want to make sure that your page titles are correct, your content is correctly geared, and again, you're writing for the actual visitor, but some of it does have to be written in a way if you're trying to rank it for the search engines. You do want to have some certain keyword relevancy in there, and you do want to have some good content on there. Basically, you want to think of landing pages, yes, they're not completely visible within your website, maybe from the main menu or maybe from when someone hits your home page, but they are interior pages and they do provide SEO value to the entire website as a whole. So they do need to be configured properly.
Joshua, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, just one small. When you develop a landing page and it's something that is not going to change very often in your business, so it's a product that you're going to be selling for the foreseeable future. Another thing that you can do with those landing pages is add what's called a rich snippet to those pages. So when people search for your business or search for things about your business, it will show them multiple links to your site, so they can go directly to a product or directly to a service page within the search results page instead of having to have that extra click to go to the home page and then to the navigation. So you can add those, and they are effective, and particularly with people that have varying services and varying products, you can kind of direct your search traffic to what area you want them to go to without having them click a few extra times.
Excellent. Tarek, anything from you on this topic?
No, I think both you all nailed it so far.
Good. I love nailing it. I'm going to move in and talk about measurement. So you've hired a fabulous web design firm like Mightily to do your web design, and you've hired a great content firm like CoreCube to create wonderful items for you to download and that will capture the interest of someone who's seeking the services. How do you go about measuring if you're successful? Joshua, you want to start with this one?
Well, it's going to be defined by your goal. So, if your goal is sales, the success number is going to be determined on how many conversions, and then ultimately of those people that convert into a lead, how many sold. We do run some campaigns that are for branding purposes, that just want to get people's name out of there, and then in those cases we consider success to be how many pages did they look at, how much time did they spend on the page, did they have enough time to read what we wanted them to read. So it's going to depend on what your ultimate goal is, but there's successes along the way from the point of contact all the way to the sale that lead to more money. So we look at things like for an ad, we look at things like click-through rate and quality score and cost per click. We set a goal for that, so that would be achieving that goal, the number of clicks we want within the budget that we want. That would be a success. And then getting into the landing page, what is our conversion rate on that landing page? What do we want it to be based on our budget and our margins? And that would be a success, reaching those goals. And then ultimately that end goal is did we get a positive return on our investment? So we look at successes in a kind of a step-by-step way. If we do A, B, C, or D, then we'll ultimately get to our end goal, which is E. So we look at it in steps, and we try to see where we fall short in those steps and where we're doing particularly well in those steps, and then try to devise solutions to keep improving that.
Good. And Joshua is reinforcing the marketing partnership component of working with a marketing firm and having a website. It really isn't it's not a brochure that you print out and that's it and you don't touch it again for a year. It really is an ongoing process. Beth, do you want to talk about measuring for success?
Yes, of course. I mean, sometimes when you do have a campaign, sometimes you don't get the response that you want. So it's very important to measure each step of the process. You know, when they hit the landing page, did they bounce off? What was the bounce rate at? How long did they spend on the website? There are even tools you can install into your website to see visually where were the users looking at the most, or were they clicking the most. Sometimes a landing page can underperform. You may do almost all the right things, but maybe for some reason people are not converting, and then you have to go back and consider, is the offer something that needs to be changed or tweaked? So it's very important to look at each phase of the process, you know, from when the visitor gets there to when they fill out the form, if you're getting the quality leads. If you do not measure each step of the way, then you may end up saying, oh, great, well, we had 100 leads come in, but maybe 80% of them were unqualified or from out of your service area. And if you measure each step of the way, you can easily determine that. You'll be able to look through Google Analytics, for example, and say, oh, these people hit our website from Facebook, but maybe they were from out of the country. And maybe that doesn't help your home care business at all. So definitely it is very important to measure any element of campaigning online. Otherwise, you never truly will know if you're spending too much money somewhere, like if you're doing AdWords and maybe you're spending some money getting some good leads, but maybe it turns out to be a cost of, $200 or $250 per lead. You can always tweak and refine your tools and refine your landing pages and just basically make it work for you in the best way possible.
Turk, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, on kind of a separate note than SEO and lead conversion and sales, in terms of just creating an experience where people will spend time on your site and be engaged on your site or even your social media. Like, one of the things that we would consider from the design standpoint of kind of a success measure is we can actually measure how much time people have spent on your site, on what pages, and what the placement of your call to actions or photos or other areas of engagement. We can actually measure, say 100 people go to a site, we can determine what's the first thing they look at and pay attention to or click on. So in kind of breaking down the design and layout of the site, there's ways for us to kind of measure success from that engagement level as well. And again, that may not necessarily turn to a sale right away or turn into an email lead right away. But what we can do is make sure that we can continue to kind of build on the site and make the site better over time, so that when users come to the site, the information they're trying to find is easily accessible and clear and organized and easy to digest. Because one of our goals with designing sites would be, again, to make the user experience simple and easy for the user, whether they're on a mobile device or they're sitting at home on a big desktop screen. We want people to be able to get to and find exactly what they're looking for quickly, and that creates an online experience that benefits your business and brand over time.
Very, very well said. Thank you very much. I'm not going to go into examples. I'm going to move right into Q&A because we're close to the end of our hour. And I do have a question from one of our participants. I'm going to read it. It says, my local newspaper has a digital issue and is a Google authority website. They tell me if I advertise with them and hyperlink my website to theirs, it will raise my ranking on Google searches. Is this true, and is it typically a good value?
Well, that's definitely something that you would want to do some more research on. I couldn't tell you necessarily if that organization is true, but yeah, I mean, you know, the way we look at SEO is kind of like there's 2 points. One is people go to Google and they actually like search for something, and hopefully they find you, right, based on your site structure, based on your SEO strategy. But another thing that benefits your SEO is, and that Google says, oh, this business is relevant. So this, you know, business A is relevant to this industry because these other websites that we know are relevant to the industry have their links or have click-throughs to their site. So to kind of like put it in simple terms, maybe we'll say for a restaurant, for example. So there's a new restaurant and they're trying to build their SEO, and a restaurant guide from the city says this is a new restaurant you should check out in the city, and people from the restaurant guide website click through to this new restaurant's website. You know, Google says, oh, there's valuable connection there. They're relevant to the industry. They're relevant to the location. So there definitely could be value. Now, I can't necessarily determine exactly that specific publication, what they're saying, but that definitely is a strategy that could be helpful.
Josh or Beth, do either of you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, basically, whenever someone wants you to link to their website or they want to link to you, it's very hard to say if that link will be valuable if you're not measuring the quality of the link with some proper tools. Just because they are saying maybe they are a high authority source, they may not be. There are a lot of companies out there that do claim to be associated with Google, for example, for the purpose of gaining links just to help their own ranking. So it would be something that we would definitely have to investigate and look into the actual links that they're talking about and just the website in general. And that's something you can always do just by even searching online, and definitely look for reviews on the company before making any decisions with them.
Joshua, do you have anything to add?
Yes. I can say 100% that I would never suggest a client work with the Yellow Pages, and I would never suggest a client buy links. Google has done a very good job recently of finding out who's buying and selling links and where they're coming from, and they will just remove your listing entirely. They will penalize you for buying links. Yellow Pages, you know, I don't want to get into it like in depth, but their services are disguised a little bit than what they actually are. It's not a true search engine service like they say it is. I talk to people a lot that say they're paying Yellow Pages for search engine optimization, and I ask them if they have access to their website, and they say no. And I'm like, well, how are they doing search engine optimization without access to your website? So it's not something that I would recommend, particularly for the price. It's very, very, very expensive for what they offer.
Yeah, and sometimes companies do mask their campaign where they'll say, hey, we provide SEO services, but sometimes realistically they're only offering paid AdWords management, where they'll say, yeah, we'll get you to the top of Google, and you know what, you do the search for a keyword and you see yourself at the top of the page, but it's in the form of a paid ad campaign rather than organically rising to the top in the search engines. So that's something to be aware with.
And I'll weigh in on this because I do strongly believe the way Joshua believes. And I think you have X amount of dollars you need to spend for marketing, or that you can allocate to spend for marketing. And in my opinion, you should take those dollars and spend them in the best way possible. And I think if you're really wanting to rank, that advertising or putting a link in your newspaper digital ads linking back to you is not the way to do it, and not the way to spend your money. So I will weigh in on that as well. We have a lot of really good questions, and one of them is, the next one is, what are the long-tailed keywords? What's the difference between a long-tailed keyword and a regular keyword? Josh, I'll let you start with that one.
A long-tail keyword, so the way people are interacting with Google now is people aren't just searching, you know, healthcare or elder care or whatever it may be. People are starting to ask Google questions. Who is the best healthcare provider? Where can I find things to help my grandfather's life easier. So what people are starting to do is they're talking to Google in a very different way than they used to, particularly with voice search. Because people are using that voice option on their smartphone and literally speaking their query to Google. So what the strategy that we've taken now for these longer keywords is that we start trying to answer those questions specifically and having those questions in the content. So one way that we do that is by developing a frequently asked questions page. So questions that people would ask specifically to Google, we try to put onto the site and answer those in an FAQ page. So that's kind of how we're attacking it. But again, it can't be stressed enough that Google is very, very, very good at determining what content is good and what relevancy it is. So I don't like getting hung up on just loading keywords and phrases in the content. If we're producing good quality content on a regular basis, Google will start to reward us for that.
That's excellent. Beth, do you want to talk about long-tail keywords?
Yes, of course. I like how you mentioned inputting the long-tail keywords into a FAQ page. A lot of things you can also do is to incorporate them into a blog page, where maybe you might take one of the top keyword phrases where people are searching that's in a long-tail form, such as where can I find a home care company near me, for example. Or maybe they're searching near a specific city and state, maybe it's Atlanta, Georgia. And you can actually make that into a blog article where you do answer that question. And you do talk about how you are a home care agency within that city. And you do not, like you said, you don't want to overload it with keywords. You do want to gear it towards quality content. The easiest way to determine what is the difference between a keyword phrase and then a long-tail keyword phrase would be if you're searching something very broad. Like let's say you just are searching for home care company, Charlotte, NC. Maybe you have some more specific needs. Maybe you need a company that specializes in Alzheimer's care. They're probably searching something along the lines of assistance with Alzheimer's for my elderly grandfather, for example. It's just going to be a longer search phrase. It will be a little bit more conversational, and it's very specific. So the biggest difference is a regular keyword phrase is pretty broad, and a long tail is going to gear down and be more specific towards the actual topic that will solve the problem at hand.
Turk, you want to add anything to that? That seems...
Yeah, they mostly covered everything. I mean, you know, in terms of, as Josh said, people are a little bit smarter in terms of how they're using Google, more conversational and more specific. So in terms of writing throughout the site, having someone like Horcute, for example, do the copywriting throughout the site in a very strong way that's relevant to your brand, relevant to your business, and not just kind of, you know, hiring a general marketing person and having them just do some generic healthcare writing for your site, but having really rich writing style throughout the site is going to benefit, because people will, again, now go and when they go to Google, they won't just search healthcare, but they'll be very specific about what they're looking for. Because, again, the goal of Google and the goal of a web designer is to get kind of we want to get whatever the visitor or the user is looking for, we want to help them get that as fast as possible. So the more specific that we can be in our site in terms of what we offer and describing what we offer and describing what we do without kind of junking up the website with just tons of lists, obviously, is going to be beneficial to the user, because they're going to be, most users today are going to be searching on a more advanced level. So that long tail is the more descriptive search, essentially.
I have actually I have two final questions, but one is more of a sales question. So this one is, what is an appropriate way, and Beth, I'll let you respond to this first. What is an appropriate way to get a backlink?
Okay. Basically with backlinks, if you are creating genuinely good content that's unique and it solves a need throughout the paragraph, people are finding the article, they are going to want to link to you. Maybe they're going to bookmark it in their social profiles. Maybe they're going to share it on Facebook. If it's helped them, maybe they'll share it to even a friend via email. The best way to get backlinks is to generate just very good, high-quality content. Push it out online, let users find it, let them ultimately make the choice to backlink to you rather than you reaching out and asking them for the links. You definitely do want to be very wary of anybody who is selling links. If they say, hey, we're going to get you a bunch of high-quality links and we're going to generate 1,000 a day, that is very bad because Google's going to see, okay, you're ultimately creating links somehow, you are buying them, they are going to find out eventually, and they may not be high quality at all. So I would say the best way that you can gain backlinks is by being an industry leader, providing good content online, giving users a reason to link to you.
Joshua, you want to add to that, or?
No, that's good. I mean, another good way to generate backlinks is with social media, just reaching out to other influencers in the industry and just sharing each other's stuff. You'd be surprised at how excited people get over a retweet. So there is something to be said about the old-fashioned networking, face to face.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That is something that you can definitely do online. Just like you said, maybe you want more links, and so you'll reach out to other users or maybe even other companies and different networks, and just the fact of maybe they have quality information that you can share, and maybe you do retweet that message, then that user becomes aware of you, and you never know, they may actually link back to you or put you down as a resource that they can investigate further. There are multiple ways to gain backlinks, definitely.
We're almost at the end of our time, and our last question is a sales question about how do you sign up for the MOST program and what is it, and it's too complicated for me to go over it. I'll just say it's a turnkey marketing program specifically for the home care industry, and you can get there either by MOST on your MOST for your marketing, or you can go to Core Cubed, and right on our homepage there's a link directly into the MOST program. And there's a recorded video there that you can listen to, and we should answer most of your questions. I just want to really thank our new partners in web design, Mightily, and Joshua Stone and Turk Canale for joining us today, and also Beth Jackson, who works with us on a regular basis also. Thank you all for sharing your expertise, and thank you all so much for making our clients successful. So I hope everyone has a great day, and I'm going to sign off now. Thank you.
Thank you.